this is Jessica, the Sweetwater Stitcher. Today is Monday, August 11th. Today is the first day of school for our elementary, middle, and high school here in Florida, or in Seminole County, which is where I live. And it was a great morning. Everybody woke up, got ready, were excited to go to school, and my littlest, who starts pre-K on next Monday, she was sad when she couldn't go with them. But I am here ready to record a video, and sorry if the lighting is a little weird up here. The light coming in from outside, I can't really control that. It seems like it's doing something funky today. So this past week we were busy getting ready for school to start, buying all this stuff. I feel like I have no money left, but it was fun. I did get some stitching in, probably more than I think I got in when I show you the stuff, but I didn't have any finishes, and that's fine. I did try my new method, and it seems to be working. I only chose a couple projects. Most of them were whips. I think I might have started 2 things, but I just had like 3 or 4 projects downstairs. Normally I have a lot more, so it kind of shrunk down the choices, and then I was able to focus, and it was easier to just pick up something that I had. And then I did get something. I didn't start that, but then it prompted me to start something else, so I'll show that when I get showing my whips. But it was I think this method is going to work for me for the time being, where I don't have so many projects, because I do have a lot of whips, if you've watched, and I have pared them down. But when I have too much stuff in front of me to pick from, that's when I get overwhelmed, not necessarily from the whips that are kind of put away, so to speak. But I have lots to show today, and let's go ahead and get started. So you'll be able to tell, I was definitely, with the exception of 2 projects, on a major blackbird kick. But the first one I worked on was, got in the patriotic mood, which I'm not necessarily getting out of it, but it has strongly, I'm like, I really want to work on something patriotic. So this was a whip I had. This is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. And I've started this multiple times, and I couldn't get the fabric I really liked. And I finally settled on last year on 40 count platinum by Weeks Dye Works. And it has a little bit of a gray blue color to it, and I just love it. That is the fabric that Lori Holt used, but she used a 36 count, and I needed more. I'm pretty sure I needed more than a fat quarter, like a little bit more, and I could not find it anywhere where it was over a fat quarter. And so when I was at Spring Fling, which is a retreat hosted by Anna Williamson in Florida last year, Victorian Rose Needle Art, Tinka, she had a fat half of the 40 count in platinum, and so I just bought that and started it. And it's not a loose weave as some Weeks are. It is the Zweigart based, but I feel like it's loose enough that I didn't have to have magnification, and I could see it, and it was stitching up quite quickly. So I started originally, when I picked this back up, this is up in the corner, I had all the letters done, and I had the U done. I'm pretty sure I did this last year, because I was intending to get down to this first band here. I really want to get over to the flag. So my thought process is kind of go motif by motif. So I was trying, when I was working on this, to get this full motif done, but then I kind of lost interest and I wanted to work on this other blackbird piece. So this is almost, this needs to get filled in, and the flowers need to finish being filled out, and then that motif is done. Then I will move over to the eagle and the berry basket. And this was, so I started this last year. It wasn't my 4th of July start to finish by next year. But if I can continue working on this and have this done by next year, for the 4th, I would really like that. If I have it done before that, that's even better. I know when I get down to these houses that those are going to be, that's going to take a lot of time. But my thought process is just, even though this is big, work motif by motif and try to just tackle it that way. I did end up picking this up instead of starting 1776, which is the another sampler by Teresa Koget that Tara from Sully Stitches, and then I also saw Missy from Two Needles Pulling Thread. She started it, and it's a newer book from Teresa, and I wanted to start it, and I thought, let me just pull this one out. I love this piece so much, and I almost unkitted it when I was kind of going through my whips, just because I thought, it's so big, I'm never gonna do it or never finish it, and I was trying to just unkit things I didn't think I would want to work on anymore. And I kept it, and I'm really glad I did, because I was having a really fun time working on it. And then also when I decided to take it motif by motif, or that was going to be my mindset, I felt like it was going to be a lot more manageable. All right, this is the next one I worked on, and this was what was prompted by something I received, and I'll share that in a minute. Is I decided, this is from the When the Leaves Fall, and this is where the rest mainly are blackbird. This is the book. This is the piece I started. It's called Token of Love. And I can show you. There's lots of good projects in here. This is the chart. And from this book, I have also stitched, which this is a piece from the sampler, is I stitched this piece and I made it into a needle book and gave that as a smalls exchange. And I would like to stitch that again. I mean, I'd like to stitch everything in this book. I mean, all the books I love, but I do have the specific fabric you need to do this one, and even the drums, which I'll just do a little flip through real quick. This is Bittersweet Acorn. And that's the sampler in the background. Delicious Autumn, this little bag, which you don't have to make that into a bag. You could just frame that. Then we have Token of Love, which is what I'm doing. This is Sky Full of Birds, which is the small I did. And she has it on this box, which I really like that. This is Tiny Pumpkin. Fall Gatherings. I think that's so cute. And that's into a drum. So instead of the drum, they finished it into on a box. So even though something is a drum does not mean that you have to finish it that way. This is called a Scottish Fling sewing bag. And so it's a bigger sampler. Finished, you do the whole sampler and then you fold it to make it into the bag. Here's just a picture of a bunch of them. And I like this one too. This it's called Autumn Abundance, and it's like a pincushion. That's a cool one in here. Oh, and this Moonlit Garden. This is on my short list. If I can get this done this year, I would be so happy. I have wanted to do this for a long time, and I just never start it. I talk about it and then I never start it, but I love the checkerboard house. And you'll see another piece I want to start. It's small, has checkerboard house too, and that's part of why. But okay, haven't even showed you my actual stitching. So this is on, I am pretty sure this is a piece of Ren, Ren, which is the called for fabric. It wasn't labeled, but it looks similar to the other piece I have. If it's not Ren, I don't know what it is. So this was my start, and I'll go in, but the coloring is going to be off, I think. Oh, there we go. The colors are so pretty. I've wanted to do this one, and I had started it, just a teeny tiny start on another fabric when I first got this book, and then I ended up abandoning it because I was like, I think I want to stitch it on the called for, but it's not that large, and it was just fun. And the thing I like about it is it's pretty full, but it just has little things. I love the blue house and that flower pot that I already stitched. It has the little pumpkin at the bottom. It's just so cute. But I got this out because I am also a member of the Sampler Guild of the Rockies, and I've showed some stuff that I've gotten through the guild before. But they were having a stitch day on Saturday, which unfortunately I signed up for, which is fine, and I was going to attend over Zoom, but then our weekend was a bit crazy because my husband had to go out of town, and I was doing all the jobs with all 3 kids, and everyone had to go to every which way. So getting on the Zoom fell to the wayside, and I had every intention. But for the stitch day, Alma designed a special chart, and if you were paid to attend, you got the chart, and then we also got this really cute fob, which I noticed when I saw my friend Katrina's post. I think everybody got different ones, but they're all, and it was from Becky with Socks for Mom, and they're all pictures of different blackbird charts. So my friend Katrina, she had a different picture, so I'm assuming that the cabochons were all different. But this is the piece we got, and it's called Awaiting Autumn. It was only if you only received it if you signed up and paid for the stitching day. So if you did not do that and you like it, I'm pretty sure, most likely, Alma will release it in a year, or someone could be destashing it at some point. It is very pretty, and it is stitched on, I want to say it's Heartland. Let me see. Yeah, Heartland by Picture This Plus. I have all the called for colors, and I chose 36 count Sleeping Bear, which is very similar. It just doesn't have the same modeling. My piece of Heartland, I like that color, but it felt like it was a lot more yellow, and I could change my mind by the time I go to stitch it, which maybe will be this week, but I thought that Sleeping Bear looked good with this. So I received this in the mail. I didn't know that what we were getting. Then that prompted me to start Token of Love. So I have both of these projects in my fall, I think it's fall colors, my fall Tilda wallflower bag that I made, and I bought this fabric when we were in Amana, and I had gone to the Little Red Hen. So these are my 2 kind of fallish projects. I did not ever start the Halloween ones I had showed last time. I just, even that was a stretch getting into the fall. I keep wanting to start, and I'm seeing people starting and working on Halloween and fall, and I don't know what it is. I just can't get there yet. So I keep pulling them out, and I have lots of projects I want to work on, but I just can't get there. So this was the main project I was trying to work on this week, and this is Gifts of the Season, and I am working on this sampler. And in this book, there is the small pillow, there is the chart for this large one, which this is actually what Alma was stitching on at the stitching day. I cannot wait to see. I hope that she will put a picture somewhere of the whole thing when it's done. But there's also a chart for this. This is called The World Around, and this is also in the book. So she created this. This was for the Autumn of Abundance retreat a couple years ago at the attic. And so she created this sampler from the larger one. I'm pretty sure Nicole from Nicole's Needlework, she either kitted it or she started the big one. I remember her talking about wanting to do it. But I'm still trying to work on the small one. So I went and pulled the floss for the big one and went to find fabric, and then I told myself, go finish the small one first. So I am really trying to stay focused. It's really hard because there are so many things. So I have all the floss, and this is the called for fabric. I have it in another chart form. I purchased this as a kit from a friend who had attended the retreat and just didn't feel like she was going to get it done. So I had started a little bit ahead of time. I did change my house to Dove Weeks Dye Works. So what I had to do when I picked this up is I had to fill the house all in. I had to finish this flower pot, and then I worked on all of this. I had this one done. So I got all of this done and the rest of this part. So now, with the exception of there's a couple like specialty type of motifs over here, and there's a bird right here. The whole right side, the whole right side is done. And this is on 36 count vellum by Picture This Plus with the called for colors, with the exception of I changed the house to Dove, which the roof was Dove. Let me put it over here to get the coloring. The roof was originally Dove, and the house was the red. So I used the colors, and then because the roof was Dove on the original one, I made the roof Confederate gray, which is also in the piece already. So, and the darker color is Teal Frost by Weeks, and I added that in because the house is outlined in a dark color, and the Teal Frost goes with Dove, I feel like. So, love this. I cannot decide if I want to keep this out and keep going or set it aside for now, pick up another larger piece, and then I'll come back to this and keep going on it. I kind of was getting a little bit bored and ready to move over. I made myself finish that one motif at the bottom. I'll definitely keep it in a bag where it's easy to get to, but I'm thinking I might pick up a bigger, or I think, yes, I have another bigger start. I might work mostly on another piece. We'll see. So I'm trying to make a little bit of a plan, but then also leave it up to if I want to do something else, that's fine. But like I said, which kind of contradicts, I'm trying really hard to focus to get some, like, if I'm going to start something, I want to try to get it to completion. And I'm also trying, which I'm not saying I am for sure, because if I start something big, that's okay because it's my stitching. But I am trying to not start anything else that's giant, with the intention of trying to complete some of these things that I'm starting. So the next one, this was also a start because I got a hankering to get to work on all the blackbirds, which I still am in the mood for the blackbird charts. I wanted, part of my, let me back up. Part of my reasoning was I moved, and I will have put some pictures at the front. I need to go take them and put them in. I moved all my Patriotic into my living room and set that up as a display to keep up. And then my my family room area where I sit for the majority of the time, I just put everyday stuff. And I realized I don't really have a lot of everyday stitching, and I wanted to have a bowl or something with some more smaller pieces. And that's kind of where this start came from. So what it is from the Garden Club series, which some of these are out of print, some of them are in print. I don't know what's in and out, but I have all of them. I got at one, I think, oh, I figured this out. I collected them because Happy Little Stitch Shop, Angela, was doing a stitch along where you got the charts, all the charts throughout the year, one a month, and that's how I collected them all. This was a couple of years ago. And I laughed because I got all the charts for the stitch along, and then I have yet to stitch any of them. Now, this is not the whole thing, but you can choose to stitch them on all the separate fabrics, sew them together to make a big sampler. She also has them finished as a pillow, which is what I'm going to do, or framed individually. I hadn't ever started this because I kept going back and forth. I bought all the 32 count linen to do it all in the mismatch, sew it together, and when it came down to it, I decided I don't really want to use the 32. I want to stitch on 36. I'm not going to do all the same fabric, but I also decided I want to finish them as pillows. And for now, this is on Vintage Maritime White, which I like it, but I can't tell if I feel like it's too bright. This is on Cocoa, Weeks Dye Works. So I'm considering when I'm done doing a little bit of a spray of some sort, like in the white areas, to kind of grunge it up a little bit. We'll see. And I know it's lakeside, but I don't know if I like the as light as the fabric is. We'll see when I'm done. But these are somewhat of the called for colors. I made it more true to the picture because some of the reds and pinks, they were more like really pinky, and this to me looked red. So I did change to Cayenne for the darkest, Red Rocks, which Cayenne and Red Rocks are very similar, and Cinnabar is like the pinkish color. Oh, this way. So you get the idea. I was trying to get it finished last night, and then I just needed to go to bed. But this is not far from being done. I'm going to finish this. Maybe I will finish it today. And when this is done, I have let me show you, from this other series from Blackbird, I also have all of these charts. This is the For the Birds series, Loose Feathers, and I want to stitch most all of these. I again went back and forth. Do I want to stitch them as one piece? Because I've seen people do that. Stitch them separate, frame them, pillow them. What do I want to do? And I think what I decided is, one, I want to stitch one of them and see the size. But I am considering stitching a couple and making them into pillows, and then maybe framing a couple. This is the one I think I'm going to start. I did start one of them already. I think, what was the one I started? Oh, goodness gracious. I started this one. But this is the checkerboard house. I'm going to get I have pretty much all the colors, I think. But I want to start this one when I finish that basket of cherries as my small that I'm working on. Excuse me. All right. So that was a long explanation for how that came to be. And then my last blackbird, and then I have a little start of something else, is for some reason yesterday I didn't really want to stitch on Gift of the Seasons. I didn't want to necessarily have a new start of something big. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I went back, this is what I ultimately decided to start, is Thy Love More Strong. I tried starting this and I was changing some of the colors, and I love the colors, but then it felt like it was something about it I didn't like the color combination I was coming up with. So most of them are the same. I did change Camouflage, which to me has more blue in it. I changed that to Endive. And then I changed the Cappuccino, which is this color, to Barn Door. So everything else is the same, and I'm really liking how it looks. And then this is on Velt, which my Velt did not look anything like this. And so I picked up a piece of Fawn by Picture This Plus. I had a big piece of that, and this is how far I got yesterday. I stitched a lot of the day. My kids were swimming and doing other things. So these are the colors, and this is where I got. I really like the Endive. It's more green versus I felt every time I kept trying to use the Camouflage, which I like that color, it kept, or maybe it was my skein, kept looking really blue. And there was something about it I didn't like. And I'm like, I love this piece and I want to like it, but I just couldn't get into it. So I was able to get the whole alphabet, and then this is the bottom of it, and this is the width of the sampler. So it was fun. I love this piece so much, and I want to I like this and the Gifts of the Season one. I also have it kitted, and I don't know if I'm going to work on it, is Come Into My Garden. I have a lot of Blackbird started or kitted, or I want to. And the thing, same with Blackbird and Brenda Gervais, both of their color palettes work well with my house, and I have lots of neutrals. I like a very toned down color palette in my house, and so both of their color palettes work well with my house, which is why I feel like I'm drawn to their things. I don't have bright colors. I don't like to wear super bright colors, but I'm drawn to the bright colored charts, but then they don't go with anything. So then I end up abandoning those if I start them. So I'm trying really hard to not start all the things, not start things just because everyone else is doing it, but really think, do I want this hanging in my house? So I did have a teeny tiny start on this last night because I wanted to start this sampler for my kids today when they started school. Down here at the bottom where the name is, I'm going to put all 3 of my kids' initials. And I saw another stitcher. Her name is Joy, and she posted it, and it was in the Homespun Needleworks group. She stitched this, and did it on black, which to me looked like a chalkboard. And so that's what I chose to do. And I picked up the colors that she had in her post. And so this was an interesting story. I started it last night on chalkboard by XJU Designs. And I've never had this happen before. I was stitching it and I looked down at my hand and I had dye on my hand, black dye. And so I messaged a couple of my friends, and one of them said her chalkboard linen was doing the same thing. So I am going to try to wash the rest of the piece I have and see if there's still dye left in it. None. I love XJU fabric. I've never had that happen before, but it did happen. So I do want to say that if you have that color linen, beware. It was getting on my hands. It wasn't getting on my floss, and I was using white, but I was worried that if I kept going, something was going to be wrong. So I did have a piece of 36 count typewriter from Color and Cotton, which honestly, I like this better because it's more of a contrast, and to me it looks more like a chalkboard. So I did have a teeny tiny start. Yes, I know it's dark fabric. Yes, I know I've said I do not like to stitch on the dark fabric. I do have to do it in the daytime with the magnifier and the light, and it's slow going, which is fine. But I love the look that this sampler was having on the dark fabric, and like I said, to me it looked like a chalkboard. And my kids starting school on the chalkboard, I had to do it on the dark fabric. So we will get through it and I will get this done. I did the piece I started. I had like 5 or 6 letters and it was going fairly quickly. So I think this is not, as long as I kind of do a little bit each day, I don't think it's going to take too terribly long because it's not that large. But that's what I stitched on this week. So, so that's what I did. I showed you for the birds. That is one of those smalls is what I would like to work on. I'm more than likely going to either stick with Gifts of the Season or work on Thy Love More Strong, or work on Come Into My Garden. My other idea was to pick back up Rose Hill Farm from Stacey Nash and try to work through that, because that has very similar color vibes to where I would like to put another sampler, but I haven't decided. I was looking for something small to work on, which I think I'm going to work on For the Birds. But I had pulled this book out by Blackbird, and this one I was thinking about doing. I love this one. That's a little bit bigger, but those flowers are so fun. So there's that book. I also, for an exchange, my friend Lori, she stitched this for me. So I don't really want to stitch this piece again, but the piece that is finished into the drum, which I think I would probably, let me see, I would do it not as a drum. There is a picture, hold on, here we go. This is a photocopy of the stitching they made into a box, but that's what it looks like as a long piece. So I'm thinking about that, or the other one that's in this book is the Quaker Family Registry, which Holly, Mrs. Jones Stitches, she stitched that. She changed all her colors. I am thinking about stitching it. It's again on Velt, which my Velt is super crazy looking. Does not look anything like this. I am thinking about just using the called for colors. It's very soft, muted, and that was kind of, getting my attention as well. I looked, and this book is called And Blossom as the Rose, if you're looking for it. Again, any of the Blackbird stuff, I don't necessarily, some is out of print, some is not. So if you can't find it, it's probably out of print. And I've been trying to collect them as I find them. Some of them I've bought on eBay. Nothing at an exorbitant price, but some of them I've been able to find, like a store has one copy or something like that. So we'll see. But one thing I did want to show, and this kind of finishes, but as I have been on my cross stitch journey, I started, it's been I think 5 years now, or 5.5, 6, because I started soon after my daughter, who turned 6 in April, after she was born, because I wasn't able to stop, go back in my room, do my quilting, which is what I did a lot of. And I also wanted to show, not today, but in another video, some of the quilts that I've made, because I do, as my youngest is going to be in school all week long, all 5 days, I would, and I said this last year and I just never happened, I would like to kind of get back into some quilting and incorporate that into my crafting, which I've done some in the project bags, but sitting down to work on an actual quilt project, I didn't have enough time in the time I had last year. But the stitching, I started off on Ada, very basic, and there's nothing wrong with Ada. If you enjoy Ada, that is fine too. I mean, there are so many options, even just the basic Ada. Any stitching cloth is fine. I wanted to, though, branch out, try other things, and that's kind of where I've landed in my 36 count is my sweet spot. And I went from Ada 14 to 16 to 18, 20, and then I got into Lugana, and then I moved from the Lugana, when I got comfortable in that, I moved to 28 count linen, then 32, and then 36. And I do have 40 and 46. 40 is about the highest. I have a project on 46, and I would do smaller things, or if I used 46 count, it's definitely very slow going for me, it's just a different way of stitching for myself. Some people, that's their sweet spot. Mine is definitely 36 count. I enjoy one strand of floss. I like the look of it. I can see it. Sometimes I use the magnifier, but a lot of times I'm still able, with no magnification, as long as I have good light, I can see the 36 count fabric. So a lot of the things that I was working on 32 count, I did not want to be stitching with the 2 strands. So I've kind of unkitted or restarted, and then even I have a couple of these are on 36. I just kind of abandoned the projects. But as I was unkitting things recently, I thought, how can I repurpose some of the stitching that I started? It's not like I have a lot, but I have small amounts. So this is one I decided it's big, and I did not really ever see I just loved it. I didn't necessarily see myself finishing stitching it. And that's also been and I'll show you while I'm talking, that's been something I've been trying to really think about is, am I starting this because I want to stitch it, or is it just really pretty to look at and I'm okay just looking at the stitching to decide if I want to continue with the project? This is Anton Uffendell by Hands Across the Sea, and I cut this fabric to use for something else, but I had started it on 32 count. This isn't even all the way to the edge. This thing was going to be giant. So I considered restarting it, and then ultimately I said, there are too many things to stitch on everything. That's never going to happen. So I thought I would like to look at other people's stitching of this piece, but I don't have to stitch it. But I stitched this flower. So I thought I'm going to figure out how to turn this into something. Probably it'll be a little pin cushion. And I'm thinking some of these have like 3 or 4. I'm just going to turn into pin cushions. So this is one of them. This is another, and this is recent. This was from the Plum Street Heartstring Samplery retreat I went to at Hobby House. And I started this as the long bell pull, and I decided I think I'm just going to stitch one or both of the pieces into a pillow and have 2 pillows. I didn't really want to stitch all the extra stuff, and I don't know where I would put this is my problem. So I refigured out my kit, but I had started it at the top. Well, this would make a cute little pin cushion. So I'm going to cut that off. Instead of just unpicking this, I'm going to repurpose it to something else. So I will turn that into a little pin cushion. Then this piece, I haven't done anything because I don't know if I restarted this or not. I might keep going on this piece of linen, but I don't really know why. I think I wanted I wanted the linen to be less mottled. And this is a piece from Brenda Gervais. And so I thought I need to fill this leaf in, but I could make a pillow with the little girl and the flower. And then this was a sad one because I kept thinking, do I want to keep stitching this or not? And this is Sarah Stewart Hardiman. I started it last year for my birthday. It is so pretty, but I never had the desire to stitch it. So I thought and I've since given the chart away, I am going to turn this one part, and I might leave the top thing or just do unpick this part from the border and do the flower. I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to turn this into a little pin cushion and be done with it. And I am fine with that. And I definitely feel like, in saying all of this, in the past 6 months or so, I have just kind of realized, and I could leave all the whips and just have them sit there, but I've realized I definitely have a stitching aesthetic, I guess you could say, and I have the designers that I feel like I'm drawn to, and I love, like I said, I love all the other stuff, and I do have some charts from these designers still going, and I will stitch those still, but it's like these specific charts, they just weren't calling to me anymore, and that's okay. And maybe sometime it will again, and I will want to stitch them, but for now I wanted to unkit these, and I'm going to turn this into something. I can still look at them, still pretty, but I just decided to put my time towards other projects. So that was a long, drawn out explanation. All right, so my haul is I was able to get, this is from Julie Just Sews, who is Holly, Mrs. Jones Stitches. This is her mom. She had these fair and square bags, and this is the one I got. I cannot wait to figure out how I'm going to use this. Holly said she puts like she uses the mini folders and puts them in here. In her last video, she shows how she uses it. It has a pocket up here in the front, but I think they're so cute. I love this fabric. So I'm excited to use that. I also, this was on the Seraphim website. I don't know if it's still there. It is called Chickadee, and this is like her monthly fabric, I think. I felt like it looked very much like prairie grass, which I like prairie grass. So I got this. That is a good fall piece too. Oh, I forgot to show this last time. This is from Benzie Design, and I got some different felt to either make some projects with or use it in needle books, but these are like Halloween colors, and then this is kind of like fall colors. They're all just small pieces. They also had this, which is the Home Sweet Haunt. This is ribbon. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I will find something. And then on Benzie Designs, she has, or they, I don't know, and this is how you spell it. They have all these felt things, and these are the ones I got. These little candy corns, and I'm going to use these in a dough bowl, in a basket. Some of them I got to put in like a little bag for table mates. This is a pumpkin. There was little ghosts, and the pumpkins I got in a couple different colors because I want, and I think this is the other color. I am going to use these as table gifts for a retreat, some of them. But I just thought these are like the perfect little bowl fillers. So I got a whole bag of all different designs. Alrighty. Then I also, let's see, I was able to get some Steinbeck from Needle and Flax. I ordered, that was one of the pre-orders with the, when I joined Patreon, she had that as a pre-order. This is the Scattered Seed Sampler. This is the second one in the club for this year. Grace Notes, the fabric for this month is ginger ale. Kind of has a little bit of a greeny tint to it. And then these two charts I ordered from Sassy Jacks. I have never seen this chart before. This is called Autumn Garden by Samplers Not Forgotten. I loved that. I thought that's really pretty. That might look good on the Seraphim I just got. And then this chart, Autumn's Bouquet, and I did not have this, but cute little squirrel. This is from With Thy Needle and Thread. So of course I had to buy that. And then I also, this was these were from Patchwork and Poppies. This is the French General bag, and I had pre-ordered them. I don't know if they're still available on her site. I also ordered the American flag one. And then she sent me, she's so sweet, this Teresa Koget bag. And a sweet little charm. It's like you could put your needles there. And then I also had ordered, and I will link this shop below. This is the scissor fob that goes with, I forget which one. It has a couple tags, but this. I think it was part of the French General. That was one of the options, was to order the scissor fob. I also got in my Color and Cotton, my Color and Cotton fabric of the month, and this is called Stonehenge. It's really pretty. Kind of gray. It has a little bit of brown modeling in it. Very pretty. And I was able to get a couple lakeside colors from the stash unloading. My friend Yvette was selling them, so I was able to pick those up from her, but it was on stash unloading. I don't know if she has any more. I also saw last night that Tara Sullivan, she had listed on there some 40 count fox and rabbit. If you're looking for, she had lots of pieces of that. I don't know if it's still on there or not, but you can go look. All right, that is what I have for today. I got emails from the giveaways that I announced last week, which I forgot to put the slide in. So I did post those. I have those to go in the mail today. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to work on the For the Birds for sure. And then I don't know what other bigger piece I'm going to work on. And I am going to work on that sampler for my kids starting school. I had lots of people respond about knitting, that you love knitting and you're excited. I'm going to start it. I did get the mechanism to wind it into a cake from the skein, so I need to do that. That's on my list this week to do, so I can try a small little project and hopefully get comfortable and then cast on the blanket that I want to make. So maybe by next Monday I'll have something knitted, we'll see. And then I might bring some of my past quilting on to show also. And hopefully I'll have that basket of cherries done. That's my main goal, is to get that done. And if I get something else done, wonderful. If not, that's fine too. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I hope that you get a lot of stitching done. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.